Is it really true that nothing ever happens? Does anything really happen? Let's explore this together, because this is one of the biggest recognitions, realizations that anyone could have, because the ramifications of it in a way change everything. Because I guess what we're speaking about is the very basis of everything. Nothing ever happened. What does it mean? Something I've spoken about a lot before. It's one of those things that you either get it or you don't get it. There can be this kind of like a light shining through a crack, you just see it. But it can't be forced. If we take a story, there's a story of 3 Zen monks that are meditating outside of a monastery. One looks up, sees a flag that is blowing on top of the monastery. The first monk says, "Oh look, the flag is moving." The second monk says, "No, the wind is moving." The third monk says, "Both of you are wrong, the mind is moving." This is a clue to this question, this fact of nothing really happens. What creates the experience as if something is happening? What is a happening? How can you divide life up into a happening? This happened. This conversation with a friend that I had yesterday, this happened. Did it really happen? How was that freeze framed? How was that divided from everything else to become something that happened? And how is it now a happening for most people as they now reflect upon it? Right? It's just a memory, isn't it? But can a memory ever be the actuality of what really is? Of what seemed to happen? Whatever you remember cannot be the actuality of what really happened. Can you see that? Because now it's just a memory. What has happened to that seemed to happen? It's faded away. If you imagine like a boat moving through a stream, it leaves a trail behind, but the trail very quickly dissolves. To the point where if you look back, once the trail has dissolved, there is no trace of the trail. The water all looks the same. So in a similar way, whatever seems to happen, firstly, we can see that it can only happen now, immediately. Whereas the mind obviously has this perception of past, present, future, the whole experience of time, which if you check out within your own direct sensing, you'll see that time is an illusion. There is really no past, there is really no future, there's not even really the perception of the present, which becomes often a concept. Maybe we can say at best there is just this which is immediate, instant. It's kind of like, sand slipping through your fingers. Right? That you can't hold it. It's just fading away. You can't find, if you really look, I invite you to look, you can't find a dividing line between one moment or the next moment, because really there is not one moment and then another moment and another moment and another moment. That's how the mind perceives it. It's like taking snapshots. This moment where I was having a conversation with my friend, then this moment where I was at work, and then this moment where I was getting ready for bed. Right? It creates these snapshots, boom, boom, and then it kind of puts it in this linear framework that then appears like real time. Past, present, future. which really only exists in the mind, right? You have to think about it. If you don't think about anything right this instant, and you can try this, if you don't think about anything this instant, and you have the power to do that, if you don't think about anything this instant, then where is time? Where is past? Where is future? Where is what seemed to happen? It just faded away. It's kind of like being asleep at night, right? You're dreaming. When you're in the middle of the dream, it feels very real. But you wake up and you clearly see, it never really happened. And there's a relief to that, right? There's a great relief. It never happened, especially if it's a nightmare. It never happened. You are liberated from the belief that it is really happening, or that it really happened. So it's kind of like that. You wake up, as you wake up out of the mind that is creating the experience of things happening in time, and even more specifically that it's happening to someone that is separate in time, right? Someone that is a separate person from the rest of the totality, which if you inquire you'll come to see that that's also an illusion. When you wake up from that, what a relief. There's an unimaginable freedom. It never really happened. So much so you can actually say, if we really look at it, is anything actually happening now? Now, again, the mind comes in and says, yeah, well, of course there's something happening. I'm listening to you speaking on this video. I'm sat maybe in a room and I can hear a dog barking outside, or cars passing, or the clock ticking. There's things that are happening. But if the mind doesn't come in to try to record that, to try to describe that, to snapshot that and put it in the memory bank, then is anything really happening in that sense? Right? So, in other words, we could say that actually all that is happening is only in the mind. Thought. Thought is creating, the continuity of thought is creating what appears to be happening. But in actuality, nothing is really happening. The memory cannot convey anything that really happened, the actuality of what happened. Thought cannot convey what is appearing, right? It creates the happening as if it's a separate moment. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. It's kind of like slicing, trying to capture certain things, right, in a limited view. Like a conversation as if it's separate from everything else. So it's constantly doing this. So just like a dream, as we look at it, we can say nothing really happened. And actually, nothing is really happening. The mind is creating all of it. Just like those three monks. The flag is not moving. The wind is not moving. The mind is moving. The mind is creating this experience that it says of the flag moving. Actually, nothing is moving. Actually, nothing is happening. Now, of course, when the mind hears this, it can perceive that in a very negative way, a very nihilistic way. It can feel pessimistic about that. It can feel like it's a very negative thing. But instead, what you can see is that when there is not the mind that is creating the false experience that there is something happening, there is some kind of vibrance, of aliveness, of what really is, that shines forth. More vivid, more alive, more colour, more texture, more richness, that cannot be described, that cannot be captured by the mind, because the mind is just limited, right? Thought is limited. It cannot encapsulate the seamless, infinite life, the seamless, infinite reality, so to speak, which of course is beyond any words that can be used. So nothing is really happening, and nothing really happens, and nothing is really happening to anybody that is separate. This, if you really reflect on it, is a huge recognition.